so good to be here. Roll call. Laura Lee is here. Tyler is here. Myself is here. Taylor is here. Angela is here. Matthew is here. So that covers with Jeff away, George, and David. So in saying that, we're going to call the meeting to order and ask us all to pause to seek guidance. Our mission statement: to provide, promote, and facilitate municipal services that meet the community needs by preserving, supporting, and enhancing quality of life for all. Now, the next, is there any additions or deletions to the agenda? Hearing none.
I motion to approve the agenda.
Is there a seconder?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
There are technically no delegations presentations, so we're saying no. The approval of June 25th, 2024 first set of minutes. Is there any errors or omissions?
I motion to approve the minutes of June 25th, 2024 and July 4th.
No, we can only do one of them.
I motion to approve the minutes of June 25th, 2024.
Is there a second? Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Let's feel funny. The next is the approval of July 4th. Is there any errors or omissions to those minutes?
I motion to approve the minutes of July 4th, 2024.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. The CAO report, the meeting reminders. There is no meeting on July 30th, no meeting on August the 6th. On August the 13th, there is a committee of the whole. There is no meeting on the 20th or the 27th of August. Any action items from previous minutes anyone wants to bring forward? All right, the update on the capital projects 2024. Is there any questions, concerns? Okay. The financial report of June 2024.
I motion to approve the financial report of June 2024.
Is there a seconder?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. The next, under the standing committee items, the bylaw and policy recommendation. Get it right here. Soap, wet iron, and ink funding request in the amount of $1,000 additional upon the event taking place. We have a mover and a seconder.
I'm going to council provide funding to Southwest Ink and Iron and Ink in the amount of $1,000 conditional upon the event taking place.
Seconder? Whether you report against it, we can second it. No, you don't have to. And we will carry this forward then to the committee of the whole meeting. The Friends of Point Grim Society Community Grant application. Are we going to have a mover and a seconder for this one? Or do we wait?
I'll move the council approve the Friends of Point Grim Society community grant application in the amount of $375.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. The Crime Stopper decals.
I move the council agree to obtain decals from Nova Scotia Crime Stoppers to put on municipal infrastructure.
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. So I'm just going to double check with you, Tyler. So for our Southwest Iron and ink final request, because it was confirmed at the other meeting, so we can just forward it.
You can.
Next is the audit committee recommendation, council and CAO expense summary report. And I believe we have someone in the audience who would like to help us with this. Mentioning, who should I say?
Whatever you want to.
Mr. Kelly. Aaron, no, seriously? So you're gonna present for us, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But this isn't that though.
We'll do this motion first, and then this.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I'll move the council approve the council and CAO expense summary report as presented.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Now,
Okay.
Kelly.
Now, so as we all know, you got the full meal deal detailed version last week. So I will strive my best, Coralie, for 15 minutes, just because this is all going to be pretty fresh. So it's going to be the quick and dirty version. So everybody's got the statements. So if you just want to flip right to page 1, the independent auditor's report. That's the important page. So this is our opinion. So it's a clean audit opinion, which is good. So in our opinion, these statements present fairly in all material respects the financial position of the municipality as at March 31st, 2024, in accordance with Canadian Public Sector Accounting Standards, which is your accounting framework. Basis of opinion, so we have conducted our audit in accordance with Canadian generally accepted auditing standards. So there is a overall framework that is applied to every audit engagement that's undertaken. It just gets tailored down to the needs and the situation, but there is an overall approach that's applied standardly. We are independent of the municipality. So every year there's a process we go through to make sure there's no conflicts between Grant Thornton and any members of the municipality and council. And we believe that we fulfilled all our responsibilities in accordance with the requirements, and we believe the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide the basis of our opinion. There's an other matter paragraph, so pages 8 to 12 are additional information. They're not required to be there, but they do provide a lot of color and context to the overall set of statements. So we just note that they're only audited to the extent required to provide the information on the beginning pages. So they're just extra information. Responsibilities of management and those charged with governance. So management is the top of your triangle, Coralie, Tyler, and Jeff. They're responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of these statements in accordance with Canadian Public Sector Accounting Standards and for such internal controls as they deem necessary to enable the statements to be free of material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error. I will specify that you also do engage us to prepare these statements, but ultimately management takes responsibility. So we're engaged to prepare an audit, but also compile the statements based on your information, which ultimately Jeff and council take responsibility for. So that's what that is. Then we have, in preparing the statements, management is responsible for assessing the municipality's ability to continue as a going concern. So going concern basically means will you be functioning 12 months from now? And then those charged with governance are responsible for overseeing the financial reporting process. So as auditors, our responsibility is to attain a reasonable assurance of these statements as a whole are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error. Reasonable assurance is a high level of assurance, but it's not a guarantee. And basically, as we say, this is not an audit for fraud. We have procedures. We're always suspicious and skeptical, but if your staff are colluding, this is not really going to intentionally find that. And while we don't audit every specific transaction, we do audit all the areas of your organization. We just spend more time on the areas that we deem to have a higher risk. And then misstatements can arise from fraud or error, and they'd be considered material if individually or in aggregate they influence a reasonable user's opinion on the statements. So the simple example, if there was a $10 mistake in here, no reasonable user is going to change their opinion on the municipality. If there was a $500,000 entry in here, that might start to move the needle. So we always say there's not a $10 entry. I mean, there's not a $500,000 mistake, but there could be a $10 mistake. That's kind of that's the way things go. But I trust my work, so it's fine. As part of the audit, we also have to identify and assess the risks. So as I said, we audit everything, but we spend the most amount of time where we think there's the most risk. So your operations are pretty steady, so about every year we kind of reevaluate what's going on and where we think the risks are based on changes or new operations. You have to obtain an understanding of your internal controls. We don't audit them, but we have to understand how they work and how they're supposed to function. And we evaluate the appropriateness of your accounting policies, accounting estimates, and disclosures. We conclude on the appropriateness of the going concern basis of accounting, which we're in agreement with. If we weren't, you'd have heard from us a long time ago. We evaluate the overall presentation, and then lastly, we communicate with those charged with governance on our findings. So your detailed meeting with the audit committee, and now this presentation here. Page 3 is management's responsibility. So this is required under the standard. It's just formal acknowledgement that management takes responsibility for the financial statements. It's understood in the audit report, but for public sector accounting, it has to come right out and sign this particular page, so no one can question anything. Page 4 is the statement of operations, or your income statement. So overall this year, revenue $10,488,000. Last year it was $9,043,000. So we're up almost $1.5 million. And from our budget, we had $9.8 million budgeted, so we're $600,000 off on our budget. All the detail as before, the detail is in the back pages, but we'll just kind of focus on here because this is the high level approach. So under your taxes, there was a $620,000 increase in taxes between your residential and commercial. So your rates didn't go up, but your assessed values, particularly on residential property, were up significantly. Given what's going on here, that's not really a surprise. And then deed transfer tax, while still high, I think deed transfer tax this year was $370,000. So historically, still a very high number, but that's down $120,000 from last year. So those are the two big movers there. And in terms of why we're off from our budget, as you're well aware, deed transfer tax is a stab in the dark from a budgeting perspective. So you stabbed $150,000 low. So that's always no surprise there to be kind of off target. You make the best conservative estimate you can. Grants in lieu of taxes, you're bang on your budget, and we're up $140,000 from last year, which is the increase in the Nova Scotia Power grant in lieu. Sales of services are perfectly on budget. You're only up $12,000 from last year. Services provided to other governments. Sales of services, same thing, right on budget, and only $8,000 up from last year. Nothing really large going on in there. And then other revenue from own sources. So we budgeted $808,000. You came in at 1.229. So you're $420,000 over budget, and you're $280,000 up from last year. So the main items in there. It's basically your interest on your accounts. So obviously you got a lot more cash deposits and the rates are going up significantly. So your return on investment interest is up $250,000. And then the interest earned on your Canada Community Building Fund account, that's $60,000 more than last year. So those are two big upswings. And then the wind turbine is actually down $80,000 in revenue from last year. So there's just more downtime for repairs this year, and that's kind of up and down like a yo-yo. That seems to be the life cycle. So I think in a perfect year, it would do around $250,000-ish. That would be a good standard year, but it's always up and down. So that's what's going on there. Unconditional transfers from other governments right on with their budget and very similar to last year. So that's basically your equalization grant and then a few other minor items in there. Conditional transfers from other governments. So this is where the gas tax money is, the Canada Community Building Fund. So there was $313,000 of CCBF funding used this year for capital projects versus $92,000 last year. You spent $225,000. You got $225,000 for the lighthouses that you took over from the federal government. So they give you $75,000 each to help with those in the future. There's $191,000 of funding from the Sustainable Services Growth Fund. So that was almost $600,000 that you got at the very end of last year that you have 2 years to spend on various projects. So some of it came in this year, the rest will be next year. There's also $35,000 for floodline mapping. So that's an ongoing project from the year before. There was $177,000 last year, so $35,000 to bring that up. And then last year also is just extra items. Last year there was $52,000 for accessibility funding and $10,000 of Safe Restart funding. So that's the big movers there. So obviously a lot of gas tax money spent, and then the big lighthouse money. So that's what we see going on there. So that's your revenue position. From the expenditure side, we have a budget of expenses of 9,113. So that's up $430,000 over last year, and it's actually less than your budget by $586,000. So we kind of go through general government services, very close to budget and very similar to last year. So a bit ups and downs here. So the clerk's pension, for the defined benefit pension, the one that's left over, the pension actually grew an asset position, so there was a recovery. So that was a $110,000 swing. I think last year it cost you $60,000, and this year you recovered almost $50,000. So that's a $110,000 expense swing. There was wage increases to the staff across the board as people are moving up and your CPIs, but also there was some extra staffing when Taylor onboarding and Pat, so you had two executive assistants for a little while, so just a little bit of overages there. And then last year we had the sick accrual set up, so you changed your sick policy in 2023, which resulted in vesting, so your hours accumulate now. So last year a $75,000 liability was set up for that. So wages have gone up, but benefits have gone down accordingly. Then we have $22,000 increase in grants to organizations year over year. So we have ups in wages, down in pension. So it's just, it all nets out very closely. So on a $2 million line item, you're $12 grand year over year. So just all shakes out that way. Protective services. $2.9 million, almost $3 million. You had a budget of 3.2. Last year it was 2.8. So we're $141,000 more than last year, but we're $225,000 below the budget. Main items in here is the RCMP contract, so that's up $100,000 year over year. And then actually last year it was up $170,000 over the year before. It was $20,000 increase in dispatch costs, mixture of training, staffing, and others. Guaranteed hours out there, so we expect to see that number kind of creep up a little bit. There was $40,000 in extra funding for volunteer fire department operating grants, and $20,000 increase in the building department expenses. Transportation services, $937,000, so right on target with your budget, and you're up $127,000 from last year. Biggest offender in there is King's Transit, so that was $100,000 more than last year. So your management fees went up, and then there was some grant funding received in 2023 that wasn't available anymore, so you had to fund that difference. So that's basically where your $50,000 difference comes from. And there was a transit assessment study that was done. That was an extra $25,000 this year as well. Environmental health, $1.7 million, so you're only up $47,000 from last year, and you're very close to your budget. You're $22,000 off from your budget. Only real things in there is the increase in the solid waste disposal contracts. Those fees have increased, and then between your lift stations and sewer, like revenue, some repairs and maintenance were up and some were down, and it all kind of smoothed itself out. So it's basically just the garbage contract increase that's going on there. Environmental development. Budgeted 9.75, came in at 836, so we're $133,000 higher than last year, and we're $137,000 below our budget. So the big item there is the rural internet investment. We continue or wait?
No, so that's
Okay, you want me to wait for you?
You keep going.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
All right. So rural internet, so there was $225,000 spent on that. Obviously, you don't own that infrastructure, so it's not a capital investment. There's also $50,000 this year on the asset management plan, and then $30,000 again in funding for the floodline mapping. The only other change there is the renewable energy coordinator. That was it. That's a part-time. Terry's down to part-time for 2024, so we saw a reduction there. And then in terms of what was going on the prior year, there was $177,000 for floodline mapping. So that's that. Recreation and cultural, $703,000, $778,000 budget, $647,000 last year. So again, very close to budget. No big changes year over year. Primarily, it's just Dark's increased budget requests. So that's the only major cost increase there, and just some fluctuation in your wages. So that's how we get to our expenditures. So that gives you an annual surplus of $1.374 million. Then we have loss on disposal of assets. So there was 2 trucks that got sold, 2 vehicles sold, and then some of your ARO assets were settled, so that's losses there. And then we also have the settlement of the asset retirement obligations. So we shake all that down, we have an annual surplus of $1.4 million. So that's up $1 million from last year. and gives you an ending accumulated surplus of $19,332,000. So on to page 5 in your balance sheet or your statement of financial position. So cash and cash equivalents, you're up $113,000 on your regular bank account. So that's just timing, ins and outs, very, very close year over year. Your reserve funds, you're up $897,000 year over year. So that's your gas tax funding that come in, and then your excess funding from operations that gets transferred over to the reserve. Tax sale surplus, so that's properties that have been sold at tax sale that haven't been redeemed, so you'll get to hold the money for 20 years, and eventually if nobody comes back, it's yours. So that's up $83,000. As you see below, there's a corresponding liability, so that money's it's not quite yours yet. And our receivables, we're up $229,000 in receivables. So that's basically $120,000 in your taxes receivable. So your collection slowed a little bit, so that crept up. Then your PACE program, there was 5 new loans issued this year. So that was another $40,000 that you put out in that program, less your regular payments. And then there was the ground search and rescue receivable for the truck, so that's overall $30,000 increase there. Pension benefit excess, as I mentioned, so ECLR values your pension. You do an actual full valuation every 3 years, and then annually they just do an extrapolation. So based on their calculations, you had an excess position of $623,000, so that's up $51,000 over last year. So total financial assets of $14,287,000, and then down on our liabilities, as I said, your tax sale surplus, that's just you have the cash, but it's not yours, so it's a matching liability. Payables and accruals are down $100,000 at $771,000. So basically, that number is made up of your trade payables, so that's $360,000. It's $190,000 owed to DDA, so DDA doesn't have a bank account, so everything's transacted through you guys, and it's just offset by a payable or receivable. And then you have a $98,000 tax sale excess, so that's stuff you sold at tax sale and is still inside the 6-month window. And then there's $114,000 in wage-related accruals, so that's your sick, your vacation, your month-end remittances to CRA, and whatnot. So that's the breakdown of where you get your $770,000. And as to why did we decrease, so trade payables themselves are down $10,000. The biggest part of that, 130, is invoices to Garion for the renovation out here. So as timing would have it, that's basically your significant accounts payable. And if we compare that to last year there was the floodline project was going on, so there was $120,000 payable there. So one big amount in both years, coincidentally. There was a $65,000 reduction in your tax sale excess. Last year was a big year for properties getting moved, so that's just timing. And then DDA amount went up $20,000, and this year there's the marketing levy, say the $10,000 payable there. Everything else very consistent year over year. Payable to fire departments, so that's the fire rate that you gather on their behalf and you hold in what you would call their reserve. So that's just that's up a little bit year over year. Asset retirement obligations, as we talked about, so there's accretion expense in there, and then some liabilities were settled during the year, so that's why we see that change. And deferred revenue is down $114,000, so that's made up of your $2.3 million in Canada Community Building Fund. So that went up this year $85,000, so you spent less than what you brought in this year. There's $175,000 for Safe Restart in there, $260,000 of tax prepayments, and then the $313,000 for the Sustainable Services Growth Fund. Long-term debt, we have the one loan now. Principal payments are $179,000 during the year. And there's only one loan left. So that gives you total liabilities of $5.9 million and net financial asset position of $8.3. Then we have tangible capital assets of $11 million. So this year there was $365,000 of additions, $600,000 of amortization recorded. So the big items acquired this year was obviously the upgrades here, and then a new public works truck. That was basically your additions. And then we sold 2 trucks, and we had the ARO settlements. So that all adds together, and that gives us our accumulated surplus again of $19,332,000. So I guess when we look at our financial health, if you had to sell everything right now, you'd have $8 million left over, basically. So that position has grown strongly. And then as I always say, you know, if somebody looked at this and said, "Where's the $19 million?" Well, 11 million of it is probably sitting in the ground and pipe in the ground. Most of it in buildings and infrastructure. So that's that. So still a very strong position to be. So basically, pages 6 and 7 are just kind of your changes in net assets and your cash flows. We've already been through that in detail. 8 through 12 just gives you more breakdown on the income and expenses. Then everything after that is your note disclosures. So won't go through those as we've already been there. So that's my presentation. If there's questions, concerns, comments, or complaints.
I just noticed you didn't have a mic, so could you run through that again with the mic?
Oh, God. You're right.
I can if you want me to.
I think it's loud enough and close enough to the camera.
Hopefully.
If somebody watches the video and they have questions, tell them to send an email.
Okay, we will. If there's no questions,
Nope.
then can I have council?
I motion to move the council approve the 2023-24 audit financial statements as presented.
First, second.
I'll second that.
Any questions, concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried.
Survived another year.
You're just so lucky.
I think you guys are lucky to have me. Come on.
I suspect you can't wait to get home to that baby of yours.
Oh yeah, she's been fussy today, so. Hopefully mom's got that sorted before you get there.
Well, right.
You get to leave during the day when that happens. And as you said, this was fully discussed at our audit meeting in depth, and questions were answered at that time. And we do appreciate you coming back and doing a quick and.
I think I was close to 15 minutes.
Well,
I think you did really well.
All right, thank you all.
Thank you.
All right.
See you next
Good
time.
day.
yeah.
Then next is the SOAR title letter of support. And we have a motion ratifying our decision to write a letter of support for SOAR title.
I motion to, we already did this.
No, we haven't ratified it. We did it, but we have to ratify it at council.
You did it through email.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So it's gotta be.
I motion that we send a letter of support to sword title.
That we're ratifying.
Or ratifying to a letter of support for sword title.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. The next is the Municipal Climate Action Accelerator.
I read it a few times. There's a lot to it.
That's an understatement.
It doesn't start till February. We have a strategic plan, and there's a new council, it could be new council, there's all kinds of things going on. I don't see why Terry couldn't come present something in November and make a decision on this. It's not till February. And I don't have enough information there. I've read through it 3 times, and I don't understand, fully what we're getting into. I can't make a motion on it.
Okay. What I would ask is at our committee of the whole, that we have Terry and present with, in collaboration with.
The only thing I would say is that I thought there was a deadline.
There is a
Did it
deadline.
was it before August 13th?
I'm pretty sure it was.
That's the only thing. So for this in particular, it probably wouldn't.
You said August 6th.
August 6th? I think it was before the 13th, yeah. Yep, there's the August 6th. So for this specifically, I guess.
What they're asking for is if we have interest in it. And I think as a council, we do have an interest in it.
They're looking for money and $1,000 and.
Yeah, but all
And then we get
all
formed into-
we're confirming right now is our interest.
So we would have to have a motion.
Yeah, that we would be a motion to confirm our interest by the August 6th funding deadline. I don't think we had to send them money, no?
No, at this point, just by
It
August
was
6th, we have to
just-
just confirm our interest.
That's all it was, a confirmation of interest.
And that would be confirming our interest.
$1,000
stage
fee will
one.
be charged per municipality. This includes up to 4 participants in the workshops. Is that $4,000? Like, there's a lot here. I'm not making a motion on it.
No, there was a money obligation, I'm not sure if it was 1,000 or 4,000.
I would say
That was for
1,000
stage
fee
one.
will be charged per municipality. This includes up to 4 participants in the workshops. Is that 4 participants from each municipality or 4 municipalities?
I think they were looking for like, I think it was like 3 to 6 municipalities and a few employees from each of them, like a senior management plus a energy person. But so what they're asking for is confirming our interest in stage one, which are the workshops. So yeah, we would be committing to whether it's 1,000 or
4,000.
and we would be committing to taking part in the workshops that are in February, May of next year. So if you put this off to the committee of the whole, it would be too late
It would be
to
too
meet
late.
their
now.
deadline to confirm. So in that case, I guess my recommendation would be, I mean, we can see, but we probably likely, if it was too late at that point, we would need Terry to present at committee of the whole at the future date.
Yeah.
If you just wanted to present in general,
But then it's gonna be too late for us.
For this
If we, wait.
What other municipalities have accepted?
I'm not aware of which municipalities.
There's a lot of questions to this. I mean, we don't even know if there's anybody going to be interested to do this.
And they likely won't know until after.
And they're not going to know, so I think
They're-
we could probably write a letter, ask for extension if you want to have Terry come in. It's very close, like, they're giving a long-term, they're not starting this till February. Why do they need approval August the 6th?
Well,
Something
you
that
wanna-
isn't happening for 6 more months.
If you want to get staff direction for us to reach out and see if we can contact them after the August 13th meeting, we can do that.
And then we will, I would like to put down that we ask the committee of the whole as a special council, to deal with this and, to deal with the, Southwest Iron and funding request. So, we will have a special council meeting for those 2 items.
And if we hear back that the August 6th is the firm deadline, we'll just let you know.
All right, our next is correspondence. You have the Yarmouth Hospital Foundation Spring and Summer Newsletter. The thank you from the Islands Garden Club District 7. Reply to Volunteer Emergency Services Providers Extension, December the 5th, 2023. And the Tick Safety by Public Health. We had concerns regarding mediation and treaty fishing rights and Elver's quota allocation. Letters from Honorable John Lohr for the emergency alerts. CCBF letters to mayors and wardens. Is there any questions on any of the correspondence?
Yes, the emergency alerts.
Yep.
I understand what Minister Lohr is saying. And I understand it's the municipality that's looking after this. However, my concerns with it are the emergency alert itself doesn't function that well. During the floods, I happened to be on vacation and had some friends over, and one of my friends got the alert at the time of the floods. The person on the other side of the table got it 2 hours after everything was done. Poor Lee got it the next morning at breakfast, and I didn't get it at all, and the other lady that was there never got it at all. So, I don't know if we wanna write or be aware of that.
Okay.
I mean, I understand it's up to us to look after the alert thing.
That alert was sent out by Administrator Law. It was not sent out to the municipality.
No, I know, and he's saying
And-
that how we should
and-
do it.
And well, we should, but we were, on topic of it. I was interviewed and I had already talked to Jeff. We were on top of it. We had Jeff and we had Bruce, always on top. We did not have any time to call an emergency alert in the municipality of the district of Digby. Bottom line.
Oh, I understand that.
And as I did say, and I'm gonna say it here, because I'm not gonna hide something, if Minister Law wants to be a warden or wants to be a CAO, I'm sure there's places that he can apply to.
Well, I'm not attacking you, I know it's not our fault, but what I'm saying is.
No, I'm not
it's
taking,
nice-
I'm not
yes,
taking it to
okay.
that. What I'm saying is, and again, being asked about Kings County, I can't answer for Kings County, I can only answer for Digby.
Yeah.
We did not need an alert to sound it in the first place.
Yeah.
If the alerts aren't going out, I don't know who you write to on that, because that would not be under, that part wouldn't be law, would it? Because it's to do with,
No, but I can
Telecom.
have Bruce reach out to his contacts with our
Yeah.
concerns, but not everybody's.
I
It's
just-
just based on cell signal, who's
Yeah.
there.
And I understand what you're saying, I just don't wanna see us in the future, if you and
No.
Bruce say, okay, we need an alert, I don't want a letter sent to us saying, well, how come it didn't go out? Well, we already know your emergency alert system doesn't work, it's not that the warden and Bruce didn't do their job, the alert didn't work. You know, when 6
Yeah.
people are in your house and one gets it, that's not good.
but what we will do, as Tyler just said, we will reach to Bruce to see who we can be contacted and go through that way.
Okay.
As I said, that's, when I received the alert, it was 8:30. It was over 3 hours after. And I'm going, why is there an alert in Digby? Why haven't I been notified? Because earlier, everything was fine.
Yeah.
So, think about, that would be like you, and none of you were called, because there was nothing.
Yeah.
I would have made sure you were all contacted as well, unofficially, but as the warden, I would have called every one of you.
Yeah.
I'm sure, and I was so upset that we had an emergency alert that I knew nothing about,
Yeah.
and Jeff didn't know anything about, and Bruce didn't know anything about. It was like, oh my goodness, what is going on?
Yeah.
And I mean, I know he was trying, and I will take my hat off to him, he was trying to be helpful.
Yeah.
But what happened in our area, it upset people. Oh my gosh, what's going on when it's over?
Yeah.
That's what happened in our community. People suddenly get, oh my gosh, where's going on? What's going on? That is what made it bad for us.
Yeah.
I can't answer for what happened in Annapolis and Kings, and my heart goes out to the family that lost their child.
Yeah.
And as a municipality, we give our condolences, of course. I also I didn't realize that not everyone would get it. We will deal with that way.
And that's the thing.
But I
You
just,
get up in this
when I
place,
read
you
that
get
letter,
that
and I may have
letter.
taken it wrong, I felt like I was being a 2-year-old being told, bad girl, bad girl. That's how the letter affected me. And maybe I took it wrong. But, so when I was called about the interview, I said certainly I would do an interview. I also told them in that interview what a great relationship we had with the Minister of Immigration and Employment, the Honorable Jill Walter. And I said, and I've already been talking to her today. I said, we've already talked about, actually, I was in her office. That letter hadn't come at that point. But we were talking about what has happened in our area and what, where and all this type of thing. So I said to them, we do have, I'm not knocking the government, I'm knocking a letter that I don't think should have came. And I said, she said, what do you wish? I said, well, maybe call. She said, well, how many times has the minister ever called you? I said, none. She said, okay, that's her answer. But, I mean, and I brought up many times Jeff's name and Bruce's name on how we were being on top of everything. It was not being watched. And
Yeah, well, that's how I feel too. That it's just,
and I think you're gonna see more of it, and now they're talking to make sure the system is gonna go directly from us. And within 15 minutes, it should be ready and going, that's great. But we're not gonna call an alert until we really need to. I mean, I shouldn't say it, when we feel there's a need.
Yeah.
That, because you don't want people panicking.
Yeah.
And then things get worse.
Yeah.
It's like, no offense, but I've seen children be shipped home from school in the middle of a snowstorm. That should you have left before the storm truly started? And then should you wait until it's over? In the middle of a storm, it's not always good. And I don't want people out in the middle of something.
Yeah.
And yes, I do, and I knew you were not attacking me, and I appreciate
that's
your
what I wanted
concern,
to hit
and yes, I really do. Is there any other questions, concerns from those correspondents? Okay, so, we have the, Southwest, Biosphere Reserve Association, AGM. The 2BT board report, spring 2024, a report to the AGM, June 2024, Nick Hill, the WCRL, March 21st, 2024 board minutes, and that was it for the joint. Our dark one didn't get this? Okay. Outside boards, committees, reports, there was none. And then under my activity, I sent you about the Mayor's Congress, and how well done it was. So what I'm gonna ask is, Matthew, would you like to go first tonight?
I'll go first, because there's nobody else. No.
Well, you know what, I think this side of the room tonight, we're not gonna hear.
We're not gonna hear from them. Okay, we won't let them talk. All right.
Not let them talk.
Okay, so, July's been a busy month. I helped out at the Baptist Church in Barton with the local food bank. I attended July 1st, Canada Day in Weymouth. Lots of people down there. The warden was there cutting cake, and I noticed a lot more vendors down there than usual, and a lot more games. Everything was down on the landing this year, so
You did a nice job.
it was good. It was a hot day. The parade was good, long too. They always tease it's quick, but this one was like a long time.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people in it. It was good. Attended the special council meeting on July the 4th to vote on the amendment agreement with Valley Waste Kings Transit, so that we can further our discussions with them on the transit study. I attended the drier part of Lobster Bash weekend on Sunday. There was a huge lineup for the monster truck rides, and the chowder and scallops were A1. A good time down there. I attended the planning committee public meeting held here at the municipality. We had a very good turnout, and I was very happy to hear from all the individuals who spoke that night on the Conway plan. The public's interest does help when we're making those decisions, and I think it was we had a good conversation that night, so happy about that. Attended the unveiling of the Smiths Cove Lighthouse on Saturday afternoon with you, Angela, and the warden. It was very well attended. Sandy Rudolph did an amazing job describing how much work and effort actually went into that project, and the property and the park, and it looks amazing. Really nice place, and good for them. Made calls to Department of Transportation on grading and chloride. I've also put in numerous requests to bush hog the ditches along Highway number 1. Residents cannot see coming into their driveways. I've had complaints about the bushes are so high, they're covering up the road signs, so hoping they'll get out there. I was talking to Department of Transportation, the lady who spoke with said it's been an issue everywhere. They're also wrote a letter to Mr. David Benoit and sent photos of the North Range radio tower, asking to use leftover internet funds to add cell phone repeaters to the tower for better coverage in the area. Would help a great deal of residents, not just in my district, but possibly reach parts of Weymouth and Bear River. And I did get a reply from him this morning. He is taking those pictures and that into their portfolio. The talks with you, Warden, he said that they're doing another, what's the word? Probably, I can find it quick. Procurement is what the word I'm looking for. I'm assuming they're doing another round, because I know you've talked with him about the findings of the first round and trying to throw some stuff out there, some infrastructure to make some sense to get some better communication in a lot more areas. And it was good feedback, so we'll see what happens. So thanks for replying, and can't wait to see the response and what they find out. So other than that, it's good to know.
Sound like it was busy.
Yeah.
And
Okay, I attended the Bear River VIC open house when they opened. It was two employees. One's been there for several years, and the other one is with their first year. And I think that from what I hear, they've been busy, so that's good. July 1st, I attended the Bear River Legion for the Canada Day dinner. I attended the King's Transit special meeting here at the municipal office. And I also attended the PAC open house, and I agree with Matthew that it was very positive, and it was nice to have a meeting and know that people are actually eager to see these changes. So I was happy about that. I went to the Acaciaville Strawberry Luncheon. It's always a very popular event, and it was a nice meal, and it was well attended. And I also attended the Smith Cove Park, Lighthouse Park plaque unveiling, which was a spectacular. They've done a wonderful job there, and it's a beautiful spot.
and you did a great job with the unveiling.
That's right. Pictures of it.
Yeah, so it was, and it was a beautiful day there too, so it was nice. I've met with the Bear River Health Clinic. They're having some issues with the building and trying to find some funding, so I met with them down at the clinic. And I've been dealing with a road issue in Smith Cove on East Old Post Road that I think it was paved 3 years ago, and they still haven't been back to finish it. Every time I mention it, they tell me they're going, and for some reason it keeps getting neglected, and it's sad because it's a very high shoulder, and I see that they did go, must have been when it rained, they went and filled a couple of the big holes, but they haven't yet addressed the shoulder.
Call in again to the, so that it goes to the call center.
Yeah, I put call in there quite frequently.
No, but call and say, this is whatever number it is. Make sure they give you the number and say that you now want to hear from whoever's above. You gotta go higher, and that you wanna hear about.
Yeah, I've been dealing with the same person since Cove, like I said, for the last 2 years, and it had been done, it had been paved a year prior to that.
Yeah, I mean, 3 years is not acceptable.
And it's not safe, like it's right by the museum, so you know that people are gonna park up on that road.
Yes, oh, yes.
So anyway, that's been just a little frustrating, and also I've been dealing with the same thing over on Mississippi Road with the speeding and that of the logging trucks. And I've talked with the RCMP and I've talked with GIR, and basically, I guess there's nothing that can be done, so. But I've had 2 calls from 2 different residents, and they say that they're coming all hours of the night with their air brakes and stuff like that going.
Call,
Oh, the safety.
compliance, you can call compliance, they'll go at the middle of the night.
Okay.
Yeah, compliance well.
Yeah, they're doing air brakes and driving fast, for people's communities,
Yeah.
that's what they do.
Yeah, I would call Adam. I'm sure he can give you the correct number.
reach Adam. Our trails coordinator does to give you a phone number for Adam. Okay. I'll look it up. Rose
She
calling.
probably has it.
Yeah, she might know.
That's it. Okay. So again, I've had a busy month as well. I met with Claudia Gender, in July, to discuss the concerns of the municipality. She was down. I also attended the Lobster Bash opening and closing, plus I volunteered, with them. I also went to the social, for the, museum in Smith Cove. We have a tea social for a fundraiser. I attended that. I was there for the cake serving and the flag raising for Weymouth Day, and then I went to Bear River and spoke there. I also attended the PAC public meeting, which I was glad that we had a good turnout. I actually was asked to attend the Kingston Steer Barbecue this year, and went up and walked around, looked at things and talked. Yeah, it was interesting. They have a very good social how they do it. Then I attended the strawberry social at the Digby Museum, where they're raising funds for work on the museum. Oh gosh. I've been to several meetings that, over concerns with, people in our municipality, which I told I would not discuss. I also, am attending the, Bear River Cherry Carnival on Saturday. Always turn out for that. That's their fundraiser, and it's very big. Also, at 4 o'clock on the 27th, the Friends of Point Prim, they're having their picnic lunch. Picnic lunch, and the tickets are available at Digby Convenience. So everybody knows. And today is the deadline. I think they'll pick mine up. Yeah. And then I also went to a tea today at the the Weymouth Legion, for their fundraiser Still on the Roof, and I attended the fundraiser last week, tea in Weymouth for the garden club. So it's been, and like I said, it's just things going on and getting food delivered to some people and different little things that you're trying to do. Keeps you busy. Now, there was any questions on the mayor's congress or anything? All right. So we are going to be going in camera for personnel. So I am going to adjourn, going to committee. We're going to go into in camera for personnel matters. So could I have someone move that we go in camera?
Motion to move in camera.
Is there a seconder?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Contrary minded, motion carries.